Welcome in to Louisiana Loaded podcast right here as always from the garage. Make sure you're following us on social media. Anywhere you're on social media, you can find Louisiana Loaded, whether it's Instagram, Facebook. You can always hit us on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe there. And as always, hit the podcast up wherever you can find any podcast available. Search Louisiana Loaded. As always, a special guest throughout the week. We're looking forward to our conversation this week with somebody who just got to Baton Rouge. Very exciting times, obviously, and that is LSU Deputy Senior Athletics Director Heath Schroyer.
Hey, appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm a huge fan, so let's get this thing rolling. I love it.
You said
what a studio, by the way.
What? Right?
Yeah, listen, right? I didn't expect anything less, but I mean, you walk in here and you're like, okay, I get
real
it.
Deal.
It's a real deal.
It's got the G guarantee on it. That's right. I think you said it best right when you walked in, when we were talking a little bit. Now, and we'll start here. It's a great time to be a Tiger. Right?
It is a great time to be a Tiger. I think that, it obviously starts at the top with Dr. Roos as the president. And, I think that right now, the next 3 to 10 years, we have an opportunity to just have an unbelievable run, not only in athletics, but also as a university. And, look, I've been here 8, almost 9 years, and so goes LSU, so goes the state of Louisiana. So I'm really excited to be here, excited to be a part of it, and I think it's an unbelievable time.
You have great perspective. You're from Maryland. Mm-hmm. You've been the head coach at McNeese, the basketball coach there. You were the athletics director during a time that I think the history will show was a very incredible time for McNeese, not only the athletics department, but for the entire community. Mm-hmm. What have you learned about Louisiana in the time that you've been here to now working at the state university and representing it? That's
a great question. When I first moved here, and I said this to you guys when we were talking off the air, people told me, hey, when you go to Louisiana, one of two things is going to happen. One, you're either going to love it and they're going to embrace you and you're never going to want to leave. Or two, you're going to think this is the weirdest damn place ever and you got to get out of here, right? There is no middle ground.
Right.
Nope. And what happened was I fell in love with it. And, like in most college athletics, whether you're in administration or coaching, you move all the time. Every 2-3 years, you're moving to the next thing.
Right.
And, I'm going on 9 years now. And that's been really, I love it here. And talking about the hurricanes, when that came in 20, I was the AD for a few months, and it was the hardest time of my personal and professional life. I went through a divorce during that time. And you're 18 days without power and water.
Oh my gosh.
All of your facilities are destroyed, and everyone's looking to you in the athletic department for guidance. Like, what are we going to do? And as hard as that time was professionally and personally, if I had to be honest, I think that's when I found my footing and found my stride as a leader. And, I just took the training wheels off and ran with it. And, Dr. Roos obviously was there as well. And, we built that thing together for, hand in hand 6 years. So it was the hardest time, but it was also, when I look back, I think all those experiences were so great going through it that it's enabled me to be the leader that I am today, and also, be able to step into this role with complete confidence.
I want to talk to you about that time specifically in Lake Charles, beyond McNeese, just what the area was dealing with. But while you two were at McNeese, you and Dr. Roos, I believe it was the only state school that had an attendance that was increasing every year.
Correct.
Wow.
What was it? What was the...
It was a very strategic approach, and there's a lot of factors, but it really boiled down to this: is we're a regional institution and we're fighting for students. And I don't care if you're in Louisiana or you're in Georgia or Tennessee or California, you're fighting for students. And so we looked at it and said, what are we going to do to differentiate ourselves in order to bring in students, recruit students, and when you do that, you're able to, elevate the academic profile as well. And we doubled down on athletics, and specifically, we doubled down on men's basketball, because when you're at the FCS level, you run it like a business, right? So athletics is a business, and the the greatest return on your investment at that level is men's basketball. It just is. Because there is no bowl games. There are, there is
Your
no huge
expenses
TV contract. Correct.
Right.
So when you look at it, you go to the NCAA tournament and you win a game, the floodgates open for you, right? So
that embrace was real between you and Will, right?
Oh yeah, I was like, thank goodness,
my guy,
because now I can finally pay the bill. Because Doc is on my butt about if we don't win this game, right? But no, and so we doubled down, and he did an unbelievable job, and we were both very forward facing. And we used athletics to elevate the profile of the university. And consequently, the academic profile raised, and when you do all that, and you have all the people in place, where enrollment management, all the people were aligned, and I think that's what made it really, really special. Is you felt like you were a part of something bigger than yourself.
Absolutely.
And in athletics, obviously, is the front porch, and he says it all the time, and it's true. It's the brand, right? It's the brand of the university. Look at LSU. I mean, we do an amazing things on this campus that I've learned. I mean, from research to all the things that we're doing, but the brand, right? Athletics drives that brand, right? And that's just the the fact.
Yeah, you hear Lane talk about marrying that brand with his philosophy and just the volcano that it has, created here early on. You touched on it a bit. You took the training wheels off when you got to the leadership role of athletics director, and then you were faced with this time in Louisiana history that it will show that the southwest part of this state was hammered. It was just every time you looked up, it was, if it wasn't a hurricane, it was. I mean, it was a
flood. It was a freeze.
It was coming in so many.
How
do you, when you think back on that? What do you take away from that? And kind of that is a surreal thing, I guess, to in the rearview mirror peek back at.
Kind of like I alluded to before, I think that those experiences helped me really find my footing as a leader, right? And I think that you learn that you have to create a vision. You have to get people to buy into the vision. All the stakeholders have to buy into the vision. Obviously your state reps and your donors and your alumni base, et cetera. You get, your alumni the foundation, the alumni off, everyone moving in one direction. You create a vision and you get everyone aligned. You create, like, you truly have objectives in each area. You hold you hold people accountable to those objectives. You have metrics, you measure yourself. There's transparency. I learned all of those things from literally being the athletic director at McNeese when you didn't have running water and power. I mean, my first, I remember the first staff meeting. It was August 28th, the day after the hurricane, was on a picnic table because there was nowhere else to go. We had it on a picnic table by our track, and everyone's sitting there crying. I'll never forget. I'm sitting at the picnic table, and my whole staff, the ones that were in town, they were all crying. They were just. Their homes are destroyed. You look at around campus, all of the buildings are destroyed. The football field has 2 feet of water. The basketball arena has a foot of water, and they're looking at you, right? And so you better figure out, okay, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. And do you make mistakes? Sure, but you learn from them. I wouldn't trade my experience as a coach for 20 some years, but also the experience at McNeese as the athletic director during that time for anything in the world. I think those two things really have allowed me to succeed and have the confidence to be here and be in this role and do it at this level.
That'll always be a part of the job title, to be a leader, right? In times of especially crisis. What's the task of an athletic director in 2026 on college campuses?
Well, look, I think that you have to have alignment with the president. I think that you have to realize that the athletic department is part of the overall mission of the university and the president. But I also think that the biggest thing, you have to have real relationships with your donors. You have to be able to create a vision for people to buy into. They're going to buy into the leader. They're going to buy into people. People do business with people, right? I mean, obviously, Gordon's the best, but I also think that you learn how to truly measure yourself and hold yourself accountable. But I think it's one of those things where it was it was extremely difficult, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Tell me about your team. It seems like right now LSU has a group of people on campus. Will and I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. I think this time at LSU will be written about in Louisiana history books.
I think so too.
Right?
I do too. Look, I think Verge has done a great job. He's been here for 30 years or so. When he laid out, his vision for me in this role, and what he thought about with the athletic department, it was one of those things that was really hard to turn down. Like we talked off the air. I mean, I've turned down AD jobs in the last 2 years. I just didn't think it was right, and I didn't think the job at McNeese was quite done yet. But when he laid it out, it was something that I couldn't turn down. But when you look at the executive team, you have obviously Verge, but you have two sitting ADs that are right there on both sides of him. Julie Cromer, who was the athletic director, University of Ohio, and then myself. And I commend him for putting both of us together in these capacities that have sat in that seat.
Yeah.
And he knows LSU, and we've obviously had to make very difficult and tough decisions when you've been in that chair. And I tell everybody, last 2 weeks, they all say, well, what's the biggest difference? I think it's obviously bigger. There's more people. But we sit around the table and we talk about the same things. How are we going to be efficient? How are we going to maximize revenue? How do we cut some of our expenses? I mean, hiring and and managing of people. The job in itself is the same. It's just it's under a lot brighter lights, and there's more zeros and more people.
Yeah. Will Wade seems like somebody who fits Louisiana incredible. His quote will live on forever from his press conference a couple of weeks ago. I am Louisiana. Louisiana is me. Will run. What was it about you and Will's relationship in Lake Charles that you could feel it through the TV of seeing you guys? Y'all are very much in tune together. And then once, I don't think it was any coincidence, y'all were announced, I believe, on the same day of hiring.
Yeah, but maybe a day after I was first, and then and called him and said, hey,
your first call, right?
And then, say, hey, man, they make a change here. So it's pretty quick.
Yeah.
But I think we are close. I think that, there's a level of trust there because one thing I learned, as a coach is that even if you didn't like it, all I ever wanted was an athletic director to tell me the truth.
Amen.
Right? Just tell me the truth.
What do I have to? What am I dealing with?
Right. Like and I and it's funny that all my relationships now, whether it's inside, the athletic department work or outside of it, I just want the truth.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's kind of simple, but it really and I think that he valued the fact that I never lied to him. When I recruited him there, I said, this is what it is. This is what I can pay you. This is what I can't. Hey, man, I'm going to have to suspend you, and that was a hard conversation.
Yeah.
When we hired him, we didn't know what the verdict was going to be. But I told him, I said, listen, we're going to be proactive here, and I'm going to put, 5-game suspension, and we're going to suspend you, no off-campus recruiting, and we're going to hire another compliance person. We're going to do this right. And he was, what are you talking about? But then he came to understand, like, this is what it is. And I think we were able to, and I'd like to think I had this relationship with all my coaches, right?
Yeah, sure.
But talking about Will in particular, I mean, we had a level of trust because I think we just told each other the truth. And as simple as that is, right?
Yep.
My dad is a dairy farmer. I grew up on a dairy farm, and he always told me, he said, don't write a check with your mouth your ass can't cover.
Amen. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And I always say, my dad, majored in common sense and hard work.
Yeah.
Right. And but I think that's where it really originated from. And I think when you get into business and No matter if you're what kind of athletics and universities, they're businesses.
Yeah.
That's just really the fact. Some people don't want to hear that, but that really is the fact.
Sure.
And no matter if you're running, a car dealership, insurance agency, whatever it's, people want the truth and they want to be transparent and just tell me what's really going on. Yeah. And if it's no, I would rather hear no and go, man,
thank you.
That stinks. Yeah. But at least I respect the fact that you told me the truth.
Right.
Truth goes a long way.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Now I know the date that it started to get to the yes.
Correct. That's exactly right. It's a really good point. That's right.
So I love how the athletic department feels like it's functioning now, right? I mean, football's a monster. It's got to eat, right?
Awesome.
It needs a bat phone 24 hours a day. Somebody's got to answer that whenever it rings. Your job title now oversees men's basketball. He reports directly to you. What are the challenges on a campus like LSU that's had success in so many areas of athletics in the men's basketball department where it feels like at times it does get a little overlooked?
Yeah. Well, I think that, I think the one thing that we talked about, and I've talked about this, openly, is that, I backfilled Verge's old job.
Yeah.
So all the government relations and all the external piece I'm working on. So I'm not just basketball.
Sure.
But I also do oversee men's basketball. And I think it's important, especially today's world in college athletics. It's just so different than it was 10, 15 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago. Like you talked before about like what is the job of the AD now? Like you have to cast that vision, but you also have to get everyone moving in one direction. I mean, you think about all the entities, right? I mean, you have TAF, you have alumni, you have Playfly, you have all these people. Every sport's fighting, how do we get NIL? How do we get rev share? And to be able to raise money, to be able to get everyone moving in one direction, to feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves. I think that's what I hopefully I can help and bring that to the to the table. And from the men's basketball standpoint, same thing. Like with the with all the donors and look, at the end of the day, men's basketball is a revenue generator.
Yeah.
And I think that football is a monster. And if you haven't been to practice or people out here, it's unbelievable. I've been to 2 or 3 of them, and the pace. Coach Kiffin and his staff are doing such an amazing job. I cannot wait till the fall.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be great.
Wow, it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome.
But it's been good, and just being able to, think about men's basketball. I think there's a lot of return on the investment that's out there. Right? There's a lot of ROI that hasn't been capitalized yet. That's right.
Yeah.
And I think that obviously we have the right coach. I think that we have, obviously, I think Will Wade, you look at his track record here at LSU. He's done an unbelievable job, but he's an easy one because he loves it here.
Yeah.
And he understands, that you got to get out of that office and you got to be one with the people. And so it's been fun.
Yeah. Talk about how college sports has changed a lot, within the past 3 years, 5 years.
Oh,
you've seen, the past 8 years you've been in Louisiana. How have you enjoyed it more as opposed to back then? When college sports was different, what do you enjoy more?
To be honest with you, this sounds really crazy because most people think this is nuts, but I think that how college athletics works today is tailor-made for people like me.
Yeah.
Right. The ability to go out, be forward-facing, to get people to buy in and to raise money. I'm not someone that is that efficient sitting and looking at it and creating spreadsheets. Right. I'm more of I want to be with the people and be one with them and recruit coaches and be able to I love the NIL era personally.
Absolutely.
Do I think there needs to be regulations? I do. Do I think there needs to be some guardrails? I do. But I think that this era allows us to be really, really successful because if you go out and you outwork people, I think that you have an opportunity to really capitalize on that. Absolutely. And so I'm excited about it. It's wild. There's some things that I would love personally to see changed.
Yeah.
But, I think that I love the fact that you can go out and really get after it, and that's the part of it that I love.
Yeah.
If I made you commissioner for a day, what was the first change you would make?
I don't know. I don't want to commissioner. But look, I think that I'm in favor of the 5 for 5.
Yes.
Personally, I'm in favor of 1 free transfer. Personally, I think there needs to be some type of government regulation on, call it caps, some collective bargaining, something like that. I think, but the ability just every single year to be a free agent, I think it hurts. I think it hurts the fans as well.
Yeah,
because they don't really get to buy into a kid that's been here 2 or 3 years, like you. You played baseball here for 4 years, right? Yeah, so like people get to know you, and I think that there's some fundamental things within college athletics I'd like to go back to, but do I think that players should be able to capitalize on their name, image, and likeness and make money? I do.
Yeah, he's a great example of it. Of somebody who came in from New Orleans, played at LSU, now works for one of the most successful businessmen in the state.
That's right.
Because he saw him at an LSU function,
correct,
and liked what he saw.
That's
right?
exactly right.
I mean,
that's what college
sports should be.
That's what it is.
That's right. And I truly do believe 75% of college athletics is still that.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what is really special. Like you hear all the stories of the 25% making this, but at the end of the day, 75% are still.
Yeah.
I mean, like Will, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, hey, I'm going to get a degree, and if I can make some money on, with that'd be great, but I'm going to get a degree, and I'm going to better my life here.
Yeah.
And that's, you think about an engaged alumni and someone that's giving back. He's a prime example, and that's what is so special about what college athletics can do, even at this level.
That's right.
You hear about you hear about the
you hear the horror stories.
Yeah, for sure.
More than the good ones.
Yeah, but you walk through. That's right. But you walk through that academic area for athletics. You walk through the training hall. You walk through places like that, which I've done, and it brings you back to like, man, this is really special.
Absolutely,
and this place is really special.
Right.
Dr. Wade Roos, I've heard somebody break him down, and I thought this was a great analysis of him. They say no matter what room he's in, he's the smartest guy in it.
Oh, I've said that before. There's no doubt about it. 100%.
Really?
He's
sharp. Huh? That's his deal, right?
He's intelligent, but I will tell you this: he is. Look, he worked for the Federal Reserve. He's been
all over.
He worked in Chicago. He is. It's amazing what, if you truly want to take 30 minutes, really just dive into his qualifications, it'll blow you away. But the thing I love about him is, he's the same guy, whether he's on his boat, catching redfish, or he's in a boardroom running a meeting. He's an unbelievable human being. He has a passion for this place. He has a passion for this state. And, that's the one thing that he's always, hit me in the head with, was like changing how we educate Louisiana. And I think that this is, I think this job, everything that he's done and who he is has prepared him for this moment.
Yeah.
And I think that everything happens for a reason. I think he's here at this point in time for a reason. And I truly believe when you look back 10 years from now, the legacy that he's going to leave here for this institution in this state, to your point, I think they'll write books about it.
I agree. You have a part of your job title that I think attracts many people to LSU as much as it scares them about LSU, and that's the government relations part of it, right? Mm-hmm. You've been to universities all over the country. You've been assistant basketball coach. You've been head basketball coach. You've been an AD. Yeah. What's the relationship like between the legislature and LSU that may make it a little different than everywhere else? Because if it is different, that's what it is, right? The politics of it?
Yeah, I think I think that's probably fair to say. But I think the biggest thing is being able to just educate your legislators. Mm-hmm. Hey, this is what's going on in the NCAA. This is how it can affect LSU. And as a state, I think we need to protect LSU. And here's how we can do that. It really is that simple, And I also think that, being able to go out and talk to alumni. There's a lot of alumni that's outside of this state, and Joe, who oversees our alumni, I mean, unbelievable guy. And, being able to go with him to different parts of the state and even into Texas or wherever and talk to alums about, hey, this is what we're doing. I think that, we do some unbelievable, some amazing things. And being able to truly articulate that is really, really important.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know, and they assume things or maybe read something and that's not true. Or we all know how social media is.
Right.
But really with the legislators, it's truly about, hey, this is what's going on at LSU. This is what the NCAA is looking at, and how do we, in Louisiana, continue to stay on the forefront to protect what we've got here in Louisiana.
Yeah. As somebody in a position of power in a Southeastern Conference school, do you look at the success of what is going on in the Big Ten right now, and is it internally talked about?
It is, and it is in our building for sure. I think that, look, you can have your own opinion, but the data is a data,
right?
That's right. Look at the last couple, national champions in football. Obviously, Michigan in basketball. It's. The Big Ten has done a really good job. I think that we all have to sit back and take notice. But when you look at the TV viewership,
that's right.
At the end of the day, the SEC is still king, and I think that Commissioner Sankey has done an unbelievable job, and the presidents and the athletic directors have done an unbelievable job of positioning the SEC of where it's at. But there's always challenges, and I'm sure we're going to hit those head on.
It's a great time to be a Tiger.
It is a great time to be a Tiger.
Heath, it's great to meet you.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, man.
I got one more.
Yeah.
You spent a lot of time in Lake Charles.
A lot of time.
What's your Daryl's order?
Okay, Okay, you got to get the Daryl special with extra gravy.
There we go.
Right?
Absolutely.
But don't wear a white shirt.
No, never.
Don't wear a white
never.
shirt. 100%. 100%.
Awesome.
Great to see you, man.
Man, thank you for having me. This was so fun. I appreciate it.
Thank
Absolutely.
you for coming.
Heath Schroyer, LSU's Deputy Athletics Director, and a great time for LSU athletics right now. Very exciting time. Tickets are going up. By the way, I've heard the announcement. Tickets are just going crazy for all sports right now, right?
They are. They're going crazy, so get them now because they won't be here very long.
LSUTix.net to get those tickets today. Louisiana Loaded. You can catch us on all social media platforms right here on YouTube. If you have not done it already, make sure and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.